We love Bali. There's something really special about the island and how it makes us feel. The tropical setting with all the palm trees and the coconuts, those instantaneous downpours, that heat and humidity, the glowing sunrises and purple-pink sunsets. We love Balinese culture, the traditional music, the temples, and the warmth of the Balinese people. There's no better feeling than the freedom we feel riding on a scooter through villages. Bali makes us feel at peace. About 3 years ago, while we were in Bali, we decided to create a sort of travel show, all about us, what we think, and what we feel. But then we doubted ourselves and packed it away, along with our dreams. The series was lost. But in the spirit of getting started, we've decided to share it. Because sometimes losing your way is just a part of finding the path you are meant to be on. Welcome to the Lost series.
As you can notice, my hair is down because it's a symbolism for what part 2 entails, which was letting figuratively and literally my hair down.
And letting things go, and let's talk about what led us into leaving. When you were 31 and when I was 30, just before that rather, we were in that condo for a couple years, and it was like, we're looking now for the next step. Right? And the next step was like, okay, we've been in the city now for 6 years, so let's look for something outside of the city. Let's get that small town feel and get a home with a yard and space, because felt like we were cramped living like that.
Yeah. Even though 900 square feet now
it's like, wow,
totally feasible.
So we were in the process of purchasing. We had already made an offer, and we had received a counter offer for a home in Cookstown.
Yeah, closer to my parents.
So it was only about 10-15 minutes away from them. Big, beautiful 100-year-old home. Then there was that one day that I was coming home from work, and you went into work.
My boss was visiting from New York, and he called me in, and I was thinking, this is it. I got my official promotion. It's all uphill from then. Bigger house, bigger car, more things. And he called me in, and he was like, yeah, basically they were switching some things up. The business wasn't doing so well in Canada, and they really saw my position as unnecessary, so they scrapped it. Like that, my future changed under somebody else's control, and I called Richard bawling my eyes out. He came to pick me up, and
that drive home was the first time
what
we
did you
started
say to
talking.
me?
I was like, you know what?
This is it. Let's go.
Just go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
You've been talking about it anyway. You spend all your time looking at all these places in Southeast Asia
and
dreaming. We know we can never really do it as a vacation with the way that we want to.
No.
So we bought these 2 big backpacks, like biggest backpacks ever. Top of the line, of course, we had to. On August 2015, we were finally ready to leave, and our first stop was
Vietnam.
Vietnam. Good morning, Vietnam. Right?
That first month was like the biggest test, I think, for whether or not we'd made the right decision.
First, I should mention that arriving into Hanoi was like this insane experience of the senses, like total kind of overload, sense overload, right?
Sensory overload. Yeah.
Sensory overload, thank you. From what we were smelling and tasting and seeing, it was insane. We were in Hanoi for a little bit, and then we went to Sapa. Like Richard had mentioned, that first month was kind of a big test for us, and in Sapa was our first experience of that.
We had rented a scooter. That was only like the second time I'd ever been on a scooter. We did a Vespa for a day in Italy. It's completely different doing it in Sapa, where, you know, the roads are built on mountains and there's no road repair, so anytime rocks or things fall on the road, it just gets packed down in. So everything's just, there was a line of about 15 or 20 goats on this one side of the road. We're driving, I wasn't going too fast, but still fast enough for something to happen, and 2 goats just darted right in front of me, and I didn't have any experience.
Maneuvering.
So boom,
And I was on the back, so as you know, the passenger always gets the brunt of the force.
And this is also on the mountain, so it's like a 200, 300 foot drop down the side.
I was wearing a tank top, so basically we flew off, and all my skin on my arm was peeled off. It was just
Yeah.
from the gravel or whatever the road was made out of. And Richard injured his foot, so put a few little holes in it.
No, my leg
and-
was scraped up. I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't have any bones broken or anything like that.
And we were, like Richard said, because of the fact of the landscape and the cliffs everywhere, no guardrails, we were actually really fortunate, because
Very
if we had
lucky.
gone a little further around the bend, we would have went off 100-foot or more drop.
Yeah.
So we were
So
really
we were
lucky.
really, really lucky. But it was in the aftermath of
But
that.
I just want to make a little shout out to all the Chinese tourists. Thank you for driving
Rolling down
by
your
and rolling
window.
down your window so you can take pictures of us with our arms bleeding and me bawling my eyes out. Thanks.
So instead of trekking and enjoying that experience, I mean, the views were beautiful. We loved that. But
We were stuck there
we
for
were
an
stuck there
additional
for a
2
couple
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
And then we moved back south through Hanoi.
Yeah,
and into
finally.
Ninh Binh.
Finally, we were starting
We
to
just
get good.
recovered. I had just been
Yeah.
able to do a nice trek up to a viewpoint, and the following day it was my birthday, and we're stepping out of the hotel room,
Little bungalow we had.
little bungalow nestled in underneath the mountains. It was
And
beautiful.
I couldn't stop myself from being nosy and making sure that Richard was locking the door properly. Karma.
And so she's walking forward, but turning back to look at me and not watching where she steps, and there goes her foot.
Yeah, my whole
So-
ankle. So it was like I've twist my ankle all the time, pretty much, because the way I walk. But this was bad. This was bad to the point that I couldn't stand on it.
So she stayed in bed for a week.
For a week. When we got to Hue, it was starting to get better. I did a tour, kind of aggravated it.
It wasn't
halfway
until
through.
you got to Hoi An
Hoi An,
that
which it
things
was
really
better.
started to get better
And
for you.
yeah, and for us,
Yeah, because
right?
so after that whole
because after that
experience,
first
we
month,
were like, okay, fuck this.
Yeah, Richard was at that
I was
point-
looking at flights to go back, but then
Yeah.
it was like, oh,
where do you go back?
oh, we don't have a home anymore to go
Yeah.
back to. We're not. We got rid of everything.
Yeah.
We're all in on this.
Yeah.
So we had to push through that, and I think. After Hoi An and then moving further south and then continuing was when we started to get a little bit more in our groove. We started doing those waterway trips in
Mekong.
the Mekong, beautiful
Yeah.
experiences. And then from there we
We
moved on to Cambodia.
to Cambodia. Yeah, we stayed in Cambodia for about a month.
Mhm. That was, I
And-
think, my least favorite country
Place,
that we did.
yeah.
Like, okay, I love the temples in Siem
Angkor
Reap,
Wat.
but like
Beautiful.
after a few days of it, it's like, okay, that's
Yeah.
enough.
Cambodia is a lot of poverty,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got food poisoning twice, so that probably tainted the trip quite a bit.
After that, we went to Laos.
Which was one of our
Yeah,
favorites.
one
We
of our favorites.
returned 2 or 3 times because of that.
So beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah, incredible.
The rice
Incredible.
fields, the mountains, the mountainous landscape.
Yeah.
You can like see all the rice field farmers,
Yeah,
right, planting.
Beautiful planting.
And it's like if you go during the rainy season, which we went one time,
Yeah.
it's the
Everything's green
reflection
and lush,
and the reflection
reflections off
from the water of the rice fields.
And everyone there is just so much more laid back. Like, it's a place that's still, like, if you look at Thailand or Vietnam or even Cambodia, like, all of these countries are like on the rise and they're developing, but Laos just seems like timeless.
Slow.
Which is like really slow
pace.
paced.
So after Laos, spending about a month there, we went to Myanmar. Really majestic in the sense that people were not yet tainted by tourism. Bagan was
money.
actually our favorite place in
Yeah.
all of Myanmar.
Yeah.
Although we really loved Inlay Lake.
Inlay Lake was beautiful
Because
too.
we took a
Nice
private
boat
boat
ride.
and we went for the whole day. It was
And for
beautiful.
me, after going like 4 months now at this point through Southeast Asia, being born in Canada, having been used to all the winters, I was not prepared for the level of heat. And then when you go to Inlay Lake, that was like where I felt like, wow, this
Yeah, it
is
was
so,
finally
so
cool, right?
Like in the morning, I think it was like 7 or 8
Yeah,
degrees.
I was freezing.
Yeah.
So after 3 weeks in Myanmar, we went back to
Thailand,
Bangkok.
and that's when we went home for Christmas.
Yeah, we went home for Christmas, you're right.
Yeah.
So we updated
split
my
that.
parents on everything that had happened. We got to be home for Christmas,
And so then we went back to Bali.
which
and then
was a dream of mine forever. Probably
Yeah.
strengthened by Eat, Pray, Love like every other
and
single
that's where I
person.
think we started spending more of our money too,
Mhm.
because we're like, oh, well, we want
Wanted to
because
stay in nicer
the value at that time
places.
for
Yeah.
getting villas with pools,
Pools.
it was
Mhm.
it was really nice.
We met my brother
Yeah.
in Bali. He was
Yeah.
on a vacation here, so we got to go with him.
and then we
and
traveled with him to
Java.
Java, and we went and saw Borobudur.
Yeah,
And
and Prambanan, beautiful sunrise,
Mhm.
the sun coming up in Borobudur,
And then from there we went to
Malaysia.
Kuala Lumpur,
right?
because I always wanted to see the Petronas. I thought that was
Yeah,
that
the
was
Petronas
really
Tower is
really beautiful.
awesome.
And then from there we went to Langkawi.
Langkawi.
And
yeah.
that was also another experience for me. Like we went on this waterways tour, and at one point those eagles, man, like about 20 eagles in this area are just diving in the water and grabbing
but
fish.
Of course, like we're going to talk about in some of our episodes, you find this like conflict between wanting to experience a moment and wanting to capture it with your camera.
For me, I just wanted to that was just one of those things where it was, for me, I just wanted to just sit there. I just wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
You know, you ended up getting some really cool shots.
After Malaysia, we went to Singapore. So we said goodbye to my brother. He went back home, and we got to spend some time in Singapore, which was a trip and a half. Singapore is beautiful. Aesthetically, it's beautiful.
Clean.
It's perfect.
Clean.
Yeah, it's perfect. You could like eat off the floor, but it's not Southeast Asia. It almost feels like a Disney.
Yeah.
Right?
The Disney of Southeast Asia.
Although I was obsessed with the super grove trees. Like I literally made Richard go there, I don't know, a dozen times in the few days that we were there.
I had the song memorized.
First time staying in a hostel was in Singapore.
The only time we stayed. Only time we stayed in a hostel.
In like these little cubes.
And then we went to South Thailand. Yeah. And that's where we splurged. We stayed at the Holiday Inn in Koh Phi Phi.
Just because we wanted that. But to be honest, it was the best way to kind of be introduced to Koh Phi Phi because we didn't stay in that party.
That was the first time that I saw water that compared to Antigua. That was the first time.
To the Caribbean.
Yeah, it was insane.
It was beautiful. It was really majestic. We rented our own longtail, which is totally worth it for anybody. I mean, it's something to spend your money on. If you're going to spend your money on anything, that's where you want to spend it.
And going on a private trip and doing the snorkeling and all that.
Yeah, and going to all the different little coves that they can take you to instead of on a package tour that you spend most of the time just on the boat. So after South Thailand, we went to North Thailand.
We went to North Thailand, saw Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai.
Pai.
We went to Pai, which was really
awesome.
Really
beautiful.
laid back,
Most
cool.
beautiful hotel we stayed at there. You remember? Siam Reverie. Like this beautiful French colonial inspired hotel. Stunning.
And then then we came back to Bangkok to fly out, and we flew. It was at that time our anniversary, so it had been almost a year now, and we went to Paris. So Paris, we had a good 5 nights there, so it was a good place for our anniversary.
It was stunning. I think Richard was really surprised by Paris. He didn't think he would like it as much as he did, but
I really enjoyed it. Really beautiful. So then we took a car and we did a road trip all through France. All through France. We went and did Amsterdam and Netherlands. We saw the windmills at Giethoorn, right?
No, the Giethoorn was the town all on water, and then we did the windmills in another place.
That's right.
And then we also did Belgium, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because Belgian waffles and chocolate.
We didn't spend that so much time doing that.
Belgium?
Yeah, we spent a few days. We
were about for a week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when we were done, that was like, okay, all our money, bye-bye, gone.
Right.
So it was like, I really wanted to get out of Southeast Asia, but then when I got to Europe, it was like, okay, maybe we should go back because it's
so expensive.
like 3-4 times more we're spending. So then we went to Croatia and we stayed with your grandmother for quite a few months.
Yeah, we were in this money kind of pit of wondering, how are we going to continue? So we did 2 things. We first took this property that I had in Croatia. We sold the apartment because we wanted to A, continue traveling, and B, we had this idea to start
our own media company.
Syrup.
Yeah.
Photography at that point became even a bigger interest of mine because I've been doing it now for a few years personally, and I was getting great feedback, and I was becoming more comfortable doing manual settings.
So then we ended up going back to Southeast Asia, going back to Bali, and we did some jobs in Bali for hotels.
We did a fashion marketing campaign, like Richard said, for a jewelry company.
But it still wasn't enough to pay our bills. So our money, again, continued to dwindle and dwindle into almost nothing.
Yeah.
And at that point was when we had no clue what it was we were going to be doing, because we weren't prepared to come back to Canada at that point and go back into the jobs. It's kind of like a little bit like, okay, admitting defeat in a way.
Well, and not just admitting defeat, but it's like now you've changed so much. It's like, how do you fit in?
And the whole mentality of working 50 hours
and not
a week
being
and
together,
not spending our time together after spending so much time together. I think that was really hard for us to comprehend, and that's when I had to bite the bullet again and do something again that I said that I would never do.
An idea that I had been bringing
Yeah.
up for quite a while
Was
so
to teach English. So, and that led us to do that. So that's how we've traveled now. And it's kind of been nice to have the work travel balance that we have now. And we go to places for 2 to 3 months.
Yeah,
stay there for
we're
a
really
while.
on a slow travel.
Yeah.
That's our travel style. We always kind of feel like we're not
Yeah.
people who just want to tick things off of a list because that's exactly how we used to live.
Yeah.
We travel to experience a place, to meet the people, to try the food, to kind of immerse ourselves as if we're living there, which is why we even prefer to do Airbnbs over hotels.
I think we'll leave it there
Yeah,
for today.
I hope you guys enjoyed our 2-part episode. We're really, really excited to start this journey.
Thanks
Peace
for watching.
out.